to have additional security around the clock to maintain that, as well as like the trash pickup and addressing any of the, the rodent issues. That's all in the forefront of my mind. We've noticed going to that site that the light poles are out. And so I've gone to the city and I've gone to Petco and I've said, when are you gonna fix this and how are you gonna do it? We're willing to put our own money into fixing that, because again, whether we're there for 3 or 4 months or we stay for 6 months, Frank's gonna be there. He has his business there for another year. We wanna make sure that that place is being addressed. I know Sherry Kimball, Councilmember Evans' office, helped him get the water running for his business. So I would say there's no reason the dog park shouldn't have water.
I agree. It's a failure of our commission and the commissioner.
Okay, Mark, we're going to move on from, we're taking any other questions?
What's your name again?
Lee Granales.
How do you spell
Leegranados. I do want to bring up,
Do you have a website or something to go to for more information?
it's coming. I wanted.
Okay, so any other questions concerning the ice rink? No? Okay, so we have a question in the back, go ahead.
Just whether or not this was purely recreational or was there going to be an instructional component for those young kids who have never ice skated, who know nothing about ice skating, and that's kind of.
Yes, that is something where I would want to work with DC Ice and the CAPS programs and bring those partnerships in to give that opportunity. And one of the groups that we're working in actually has instructors that they can bring in and do that. I do want to let the commissioners.
Is that an announcement for
No.
something else?
Nope, I just wanted to just show you that this is a health and safety plan for an event that I do on 17th Street. And this would be 3 times the size for this, and it's become a model for the city of this is how you do it right. So I just wanted you to know that we are looking at every aspect of health and safety.
Great, super. Actually, we're going to make the motion.
Yes, I move that Advisory Neighborhood Commission 6E send a letter of support for the Lake Shaw project to the Director of the Department of General Services and to the Chancellor of the DC Public Schools, and I would ask for a second.
I second. Okay, I'll second. All in favor? Aye. Alvin? Okay, all ayes, 6-0-0. Great, thanks for coming. We look
Thank
forward
you.
to the project.
Thank you.
All right, and we next have our first restaurant. The Mandalay Restaurant just opened up fairly recently at 1501 9th Street. They're looking to open up a sidewalk cafe.
Lee?
So many of you know Mandalay as the longest running restaurant development project probably in the District of Columbia. For a number of different reasons, it took a very long time to get that building constructed, but we're very happy that the restaurant is open now. And one of the things that they would like to do is they did construct an outdoor patio on the P Street side of the building where in good weather they would like to be able to serve the public. So we'll have a brief request from a representative from Mandalay, and I'll hand out copies of the plan for the space.
And what's your name?
My name is Vince Bradley.
Vince Bradley, okay.
It is basically, as you said, it's just a simple request to have the ability to serve food outside in the springtime. I have not actually seen the plan. I was asked to come in at the last minute to be a representative here for On, the owner of the restaurant.
Okay.
So the proposal is to have 26 seats on the patio, 4 tops and 5 two-tops. And they already have ABRA approval for serving alcohol on the patio. That was part of their license application. So this is for a public space permit, the standard public space permit that we see all the time for outdoor cafes. So if there are no questions from the commission or from the public.
How far back from the sidewalk is this? Because, I mean, the
I-
corner right now is a disaster. I mean, there'd be no way, if spring was today, you wouldn't be able to do it.
Well,
No,
I
this,
believe
I think you're thinking of the wrong corner.
yeah, I believe
this
the area
Construction
that's-
is completed.
Yeah,
on this
it's
side of the street.
constructed and it's completed, and it already has fenced in according to the city limits. So there's actually a fenced perimeter around the dining area.
So this is an enclosed sidewalk cafe. So I know it's a little small, but that line that goes around the seating area is actually a fence, permanently installed fence.
Any questions from the audience? Oh, that was.
You said Peachtree side at night, correct?
Correct.
Now, will that Peachtree still be passable on the sidewalk?
Yes, because the dining area is enclosed inside of a fence area already.
That was my question, exactly. But apparently there's a fence and the seating area is already cordoned off and it will not affect sidewalks.
So I'll move that Advisory Neighborhood Commission 6E support the public space application for sidewalk cafe for Mandalay Restaurant at 1501 9th Street Northwest, and that we communicate that support to the Public Space Committee and the Director of the Department of Transportation. I would ask for a second.
Second.
Okay, Alvin seconds, all in favor? Aye. All right, all ayes, great, motion passes, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks so much.
I'll
All right.
call you back.
Okay. So we have our second restaurant or bar, the Dacha Beer Garden, which is currently operational at 1600 7th Street. They would like support from us for historic preservation. Alex again?
So I'm sure many of you have seen the 40-foot tall mural of Elizabeth Taylor that was recently inaugurated and dedicated on the south wall of 1602 7th Street Northwest. And so Liz overlooks the Dacha Beer Garden, which has been in operation roughly 2 months now, and has proven very popular, except when it's very cold or when it's raining out. It seems like there consistently has been a crowd out there. However, because this has been a pop-up installation of Dacha, because it was put up so quickly that it wasn't possible to get normal utility connections, etc. There have been porta potties and beer trailers and other temporary structures used to service the establishment. The objective is that after the business closes for the first season this month, that a permanent building would be built on the site to accommodate those needs. So we'll now hear from one of the owners and the architect to explain what it is that they're proposing on the site.
Yes, hi, my name is Ilya Alter, and this is our architect, David Bloom. We are planning to close on November 17th and use the time of the winter to build a permanent structure that will allow us to have normal bathrooms, a kitchen that will help us to serve food, and enclosed bar area that will allow us to have a coffee shop in the morning and then beer garden in the evening. We have started our design and permitting process with first submittal to Historic Preservation Review Board, and we are asking for ANC's support of our application.
So I would just have a question, because I was disappointed when you first opened up and a little bit dismayed about the whole food issue. Because remember when you came here before, there was a lot of talk about the food and sausages, et cetera, and then it didn't come at all. So is that what this is gonna be? Is this gonna be the German food, or what's gonna happen in this kitchen?
Yes, so we are planning to serve German style food. We're gonna have our normal kitchen that will allow us to serve food. And initial plans for food didn't work out because we didn't get a permit of health inspection to serve food. So we worked with Union Kitchen for some time to for them to they catered, or their representative catered food on our side, but that relationship was great while it lasted, though they had their own scheduling conflicts that they were not able to continue that sales of food. So we'd like to have a normal kitchen so we can be in control of our own menu.
Any questions from the commissioners? Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'll quickly show everyone the current design as it is right now. The building is on the corner of Q and 7th. If you're unfamiliar with it, there's a site plan down here. Q is at the bottom, 7th is on the side here. It's a fairly small wood structure set back from the street. The idea is, as a beer garden, the emphasis is really on the outdoor seating. You can see from the site plan, we do have quite a bit of outdoor seating. And if you ever happen to be there or in that area, you can see that it's used quite heavily, even if it's a little chilly out. But as Ilya mentioned, the idea is there'd be a decent-sized kitchen there for food, coffee in the morning, beer in the evenings. This is a business, but it's also a community asset. People bring their kids there and their dogs there, and it's quite popular right now.
And the only thing we don't allow is smoking outside. And we're gonna also have a small second floor that will allow us to have maybe some events, like, art exhibitions and so forth. That's my idea.
Okay, any other questions from the commissioners?
Are you presently serving food?
No.
So that was what I was
I didn't
concerned
think you
about.
could have a liquor license without food. Is that true?
We can have a liquor license. We have a liquor license.
They have a food sales requirement, and they have to report their food versus alcohol sales on a quarterly basis.
Right.
And if they don't meet the requirement, then there are penalties.
But didn't you have a thing with Taylor Deli at one time, or what
We
happened with
do,
that?
we do. They deliver food to our location, the customers call. We encourage people to bring their own food. Some people cook at home and they actually come to us and they eat their own food. And
But you can't claim that as providing food for the city for your report, can you?
no.
Any other, Alex, you got a question? No. Okay, any questions from the audience?
Yes,
Go ahead.
I have a problem with this. I've seen you guys grilling on your lot. And I don't understand how in this type of neighborhood, with the things that we have going on, that they can just sit out there and be wall to wall drinking. They have their children with them, they have their animals with them. They have underage people in there drinking. And I've stood outside and seen all this, and people stagger out of there, and I think that's a disaster waiting to happen. And
First,
I don't see an establishment like that bringing anything good to the community.
let me address, you brought up several points. One is underage people drinking. There are no underage people
There were
drinking.
two 17-year-olds in there.
We have, infants there, but it doesn't mean they're drinking, because we ID check everybody. Second, the grilling was catering by Union Kitchen, and we got a great response from customers. They loved the food. It was German sausages. We don't do that anymore, and with our new design, we will not have grilling outside. We will have a full functioning kitchen, and that's the idea for having a kitchen, is that we can, run a normal kitchen operation.
Is there a capacity of how many people can be in there? Because I've seen people standing just about shoulder to shoulder. And isn't that some kind of hazard?
Well, we are outside, so we have a seating capacity.
But the seats were full and people were just standing around. There was no room to walk around in there.
Well, it might have looked like that from outside. When we operate, we have, people walk around, and we have.
What's your capacity?
The capacity for, well, we actually have two different spaces. We have public space and
Okay.
private space. In the private space, our capacity right now is 126 people. In a public space, we have a seating capacity requirement. We don't have a requirement for total capacity.
Okay.
Mary, did you have a question?
Yeah, where is the private area?
It's, the private area is 20 feet from the building that is next to us.
That is why.
That is next to us, the
The
Chinese
Chinese place?
place.
That's the private
Well, our property extends 20 feet from that building toward Q Street. And the property, the land along the Q Street is the public space which we have permit to use, which is a separate permit.
I'm gonna piggyback on this lady saying about underage youth being in that place, and that is the truth. How do you ID? Do you just look at them, you have 17-year-old, may look like they're 20?
All of our bartenders are tip certified, and we require them to ID people if they potentially can be underage.
They're qualified to ID. When
Well,
this-
we ID people if they can potentially be underage.
Okay, because when she was asking and telling you about 17, and you said that we don't serve infants, that should never have been said. I mean, common sense would tell anybody, little babies, you don't, I just did not like that part of it. And sometimes, yes, your place is overcrowded. They're all on the sidewalk area, all along the front of 7th Street and all around Q Street. I walk that area basically every day. That's it.
A couple times I've seen Metropolitan Police Department standing there. I'm not gonna say they were guarding your area, but they were at your establishment. I personally think they got better things to do.
We have great relationship with our police department and folks who patrol the streets. They often stop by on their patrol, and we can't tell them, what things they have to do. I suspect they know what they need to do, but we have great relationship with them, and we have always welcomed them.
Okay.
Bringing up a point if she's saying that people are drinking underage, I think I'm part of our Italian church, which is celebrating their centennial. We have an Italian festival, and it's a beer garden, as all do whenever you do a permit for it. I think if you're a beer garden, that you should have to mark the person with an armband or something to be able to prove that that person's 18, that's holding that drink, because somebody could buy the drink and give it to them. And I think in some ways that really you should have to follow the same type of ordinance in some ways that they wear a band, because I agree with them. Underage drinking is underage drinking. Somebody can bring somebody and hand them a drink. And I think that's something you should think to comply on your own, just so it makes the community feel safer and better about what you're doing on that
If
aspect.
it's a fair suggestion, we'll
Because
try
I make
to
a valid
implement
point
something
on
like
that aspect. Carding's not enough. They have to have a band, so if somebody's holding it, they know that person shouldn't be drinking.
It's a good idea.
Appreciate it.
Any other questions? Okay, Alex?
By the way, just want to mention that Abra does have a very aggressive testing program where they actually send folks that are underage, although they may look over the age for drinking. There have been a number of establishments in the neighborhood and across the city that have actually gotten fines because sometimes someone slips and doesn't card. And I think it's very interesting that if you do go to an establishment, you may see a certificate posted on the wall that says that they actually have passed a test where there were underage testers that were sent there. So if you have concerns about that sort of thing, you can certainly suggest to Abra that they make sure to send underage testers to any establishment that you're concerned about.
And one more point to that topic is, the type of product we offer, the beers we offer, they don't usually attract the rowdy young kids.
Drinking is drinking.
Well, but we serve relatively expensive beers, and we usually have a crowd that is older.
Okay, ready for the motion here?
All right, I move that Advisory Neighborhood Commission 6E support the proposed plans for the building at 1600 7th Street Northwest as submitted by the applicant, and that we communicate that support to the Historic Preservation Review Board, and I would ask for a second.
A second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I'm sorry,
Nay.
can I make one more comment?
Hold on, let's just finish this up. Alvin? Aye. Frank, nay? Aye.
Nay.
Nay. Okay, so motion passes 4-2. All right, great. Thank you for coming, and you had a quick comment?
The picture on the wall, Elizabeth Taylor, love her, have nothing against her, but I think the picture should be more geared toward the Shaw neighborhood and the neighborhood.
Well, that's a very great point that you're bringing up. The reason we have a mural of Elizabeth Taylor is because
I'm sure
Elizabeth,
she's never been to Shaw.
actually, not only she has been to Shaw, she has donated tens of millions of dollars to Whitman Walker Clinic that in the 80s and 90s
14th Street.
saved lives of residents of this neighborhood.
Okay,
And this is a tribute to her.
that's not Shaw.
Okay,
This
so
is true.
we're gonna move on, you guys. All right, thanks very much for coming, we appreciate it. Okay, next we have, this is going back to Bible Way Church. They have asked for a letter of support for an ADA curb ramp at the church itself, right? At 1100 New Jersey Avenue. I don't know if you would come up, Ms. Williams?
Yeah.
She's gonna explain it. If you could explain.
Just, yes, to give, Bible Way's address, official address is 1100 New Jersey Avenue. Now, the church was built at various stages and it covers the whole block. This particular application refers to what we call the temple part. That's the northernmost at the corner of New York and New Jersey. That building was constructed between 78 and 81. And at that time, we provided a ramp to facilitate wheelchairs and so forth getting in there. Right now, the space, the width, I guess, of that ramp is really insufficient when we have what are the vans? Metro Access come, there may be several of them at any point coming in. And so we wanted to take area which is immediately adjacent to the currently existing ramp and eliminate the step part there and provide more ramp space so that persons can easily roll up into the landing there and on into the temple. And so the people from DDOT have been out and worked with our architect, Ronald Lipford of Arel Architects, and I think they've gotten all of the paperwork and technical things done, but one of the steps involved was simply an approval of what I would describe as a layperson as an expansion of the ramp space located at 1100 New Jersey Avenue, most specifically the part of the driveway closest to the corner of New York and New Jersey.
Can you do me a favor? Can you come over and just, I'm a little confused about the where it is, if it's going on the sidewalk or?
It's already there. It's on the public space between the sidewalk and, of course, you know, the temple sits back. There's a garden there. So this is totally up in that, I guess what you call a public space area. Off the sidewalk, doesn't affect the sidewalk at all.
Because I couldn't tell from like when I scanned the documents, but it looked like it was like hanging out on the sidewalk, so, but you're not.
No, it's not the sidewalk.
Okay.
Yeah.
How will it affect traffic issues? Or will-
Not at all, because there's already a ramp there. It's really more, this is not a scientific term, but in my layman's expression, or the way I look, it's more internal to actually getting from the sidewalk space and the steps that are there, partial steps, right on up to the landing, which is level with the entry doors. There's a very slight grading. There are no steps per se there, you know, but there's just like a landing and then a slightly higher landing, which does have, when it was built, a step, but we want to smooth that out and then have more even space, if that makes any sense.
I guess I'm still not visualizing it, and I've driven by it a number of times and walked by it, but
You
Is
wouldn't
this-
really notice it because
so is this going from the sidewalk up towards the entrance through the garden? Is that where it's going?
It's going from, it's all, not the sidewalk, but you know, the contiguous public space
Right.
area where people pull into parking places. It's really, to be most precise, maybe the space between some of those marked parking spaces and the sort of platform, which is like 1 or 2 steps from sidewalk level. You know, there's also a gradient there. And so this is to sort of remove some of that step that is there, ever so slight, but there, and make it more of it absolutely smooth so that the wheelchairs, et cetera. It's a little, we find as a practical matter, maybe a little crowded.
Okay, now I finally am able to figure it out, because it says, they've got a T here and it says existing cross to remain. Is that the chime tower, the bell tower with the?
Oh yeah, that'll remain. That's,
But that's what it's next to.
Exactly.
Okay.
It's
Now,
absolutely
that's what I wasn't trying
next to
locate.
that. Mhm.
Okay, so there's a wonderful relief of Bishop there that faces New Jersey Avenue.
Right,
And then this would be immediately to the north of that.
right, and probably a little bit to the right to the extent that it's not a little, yes.
It's at an angle. It's at an
Yes, it's at an angle.
angle. Okay.
All right, great. Any questions from the commissioners? Nope. Okay, any questions from the audience? All right, great. Okay, I'll do the motion. This is in Alfreda's area. I motion that ANC 6E support the ADA curb ramp at 1100 New Jersey Avenue, and we write a letter to DDOT with that support.
Second.
Second, Alex seconds, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, great, motion passes super. Thank you very much, Ms. Williams. All right, now we begin our round of liquor license renewals, and we've got 5, is that correct, Alex?
Oh, I think we have a couple more.
Okay, all right.
So many people may not realize that every liquor license establishment in the District of Columbia is actually undergoing a renewal this year. So we don't always get copies of all of the placards in our area. So there were some that were not sent to us that I just this afternoon was able to get from Abra. So what I'd like to do is to first go through the cases that the committee actually heard last Thursday, and then we will discuss some others that unfortunately have dates for correspondence that require us to act today. So, trying to do them alphabetically, the first is Bar 7. Bar 7 is located at 1015 and a half 7th Street Northwest. They've been in operation for a number of years. The only issues that anyone has raised related to their operations, and they have had no violations, they have had no complaints filed with Abra, is that at times there can be lines to enter the establishment when they have events. Now, these are not very significant lines, but there is some delay while IDs are checked, etc. So the committee felt that they wanted to support the renewal, but that we should include in the correspondence to Abra that we encourage the applicant to make modifications in their operations plans to try to address the conditions that I described.
Can I add something to that? This is in my single-member district, and the lines have been brought up, and also that apparently when they leave at the end of the night, that they like to lean on the other businesses, so, which is, what can you do? But I don't know, that's also a concern, I heard from the other businesses. They're hanging on, apparently there's a ledge somewhere in someone's window, and they like to sit on, they're leaning against the glass, so, there you go.
So that's the police report.
Okay, oh, okay.
Did you want to make any conclusions?
Oh, sure, okay, well said, okay. I motion that ANC 6E support the license renewal for Bar 7. And we give that support to Abra. So, have a second? Okay, Alex seconds, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, Frank abstaining, March, aye?
I'm an aye.
Aye,
I
okay.
think you should also, when you ask for the vote, you should always ask for aye, nay, or abstain,
Okay.
please.
All right. All right, so just only abstention from Frank. Great, all right, motion passes.
Alphabetically, the second recommendation we have is related to Cloakroom. Is there a representative of Cloakroom here this evening? So Cloakroom was formerly known as Louis Rogue. It is a gentleman's club. It's one of the handful of licensees that still have the ability to host nude performances. But they have had a change in ownership. They have had a change in their business model and in their operations, and we've been hearing very good things about their operations. This is in Commissioner Nocita's single-member district. She has negotiated a voluntary agreement, or a settlement agreement as they're now called, with the establishment, and the committee did make a recommendation that the full commission support the renewal of the license with the stipulation that they execute the settlement agreement that has been negotiated. So did you want to make the motion?
Sure.
You can just say so moved if you.
Yeah, I make the motion that we support Cloakroom as a new business in the area and support their ABRA license for our liquor license, the renewal, yeah.
I'll second that.
All in favor? Aye. Nay? Frank? You're aye? Okay, so we've got 5 ayes and 1 nay. Okay, motion passes.
Next up is the DC Eagle, which is located at 639 New York Avenue Northwest. The DC Eagle has been there for about a decade and a half, but they've been in the District of Columbia for several decades. There have been no enforcement actions and no complaints issued to ABRA related to the Eagle and its operations. Unlike some of the other establishments nearby, they do not have any issues with folks being lined up to enter the establishment. So the commission the committee recommends to the full commission the support for renewal of the license for the DC Eagle.
I would just like to point out that that whole block is going to be demolished within the next year, and they are already looking for a new location, so there will